there's probably two things that jump to mind. The first is going to be is probably urgency, particularly if you look at, say, the Sydney market at the moment. There's such a huge shortage of good quality property managers. They just disappear in literally 24 hours. So I think it's about having, as soon as you if you are lucky enough to come across a great property manager, that CV crosses your desk, grab them, get them in within 24 hours and be ready to make a decision. The second side of it is probably about not making too many assumptions. I think what a lot of principals tend to do is they'll get a CV in and they'll look at it, and within 3 seconds they've got a picture of what that person looks like in their head. So it's probably trying to look through that a little bit and saying, not making too many assumptions about what that person is, or having too many, I suppose, preconceived ideas on exactly that type of person, and keeping a bit more of an open mind. I think it's probably important to hire over, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but hiring over attitude rather than experience. And yes, of course, it's important to have a certain level of experience depending on the role that you're looking for. But so many of our clients will say to me, Daniel, listen, I'd much prefer to get a property manager that has 2 out of 5 in terms of their experience, but a 5 out of 5 in terms of their attitude, over somebody that's 5 out of 5 in their experience and 2 out of 5 in their attitude. It's sort of, I suppose, focusing on the soft skills and saying, okay, have they got the right personality? Have they got the right communication skills? Can they engage with your clients, as opposed to, do they know how to do a routine inspection, or do they know how to do chase arrears, those kind of things. So it's sort of looking at the hard skills versus the soft skills, what you can train versus probably what you can't train. No, it's not everything. I think a lot of people get caught up on is it too much, or am I not paying enough? Certain businesses are only going to have a certain budget for their role, and if you can't necessarily afford a higher base salary, it doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the picture altogether. You're going to say, okay, well, if I can't compete in terms of the salary that we're offering, what else can we compete on? Can we compete on commissions or performance-based bonuses or incentives, those kinds of things? Getting a little bit creative, but also it's a little bit of, what can we offer the candidate? Because the candidate doesn't always just look for the dollar figures and that's it. Quite often they might say, all right, well, what's the culture of the business like? Do I have career progression there? Is there an opportunity for me to potentially buy into the business later, or at least work my way up? What's it going to be like once I'm in there? Am I going to have fun at work? Do I like the people I work with? So it's not always about salary. Yes, it's important to be competitive, but it's not necessarily the be all and end all. I think it's really important that when a candidate comes in to meet you as a director, or as a business owner, or as a department head, that you're really giving that full picture of exactly what the job looks like. Now, and by that, there's a few sides of it. That's firstly, what does the job entail, the actual tasks within the position, but also what's the team culture like in there? So what's it going to be like for them when they come in on day one? And I think there's a lot of candidates who will sort of come back to us and say, well, geez, it's probably not what I pictured it would be, because it perhaps was oversold during the interview process. So it's kind of about being realistic in terms of what's actually happening in your business, and explaining that and giving that person the clear picture of the overall situation, because last thing you want is somebody coming in that's perhaps coming in under false pretenses, or that it's just not what they expected. So you may, even if you do perhaps lose one or two along the way, as long as somebody's coming in there and they understand exactly what you're trying to achieve, and they're on board with that. It's very competitive, so there is that need for urgency. I think if somebody hasn't hired in a little while, there can be a presumption that there's a huge amount of talent out there, which at the moment, unfortunately, there's not a lot to choose from. So it's kind of it's being aware of what that or how urgent you need to be, the type of people that's out there, and also spreading the net as wide as you possibly can, because there's a whole range of different ways. Just like when you're trying to sell a house for a buyer, or for a vendor, or lease a property for a landlord, there's not just one way to do it. If you're casting the net as wide as you possibly can, it just means you're going to have a bigger pool of talent to choose from.